everyone, welcome back to Keto and Crime. Today I have a very special video for you. Do not worry, my review of rope will be the very next video, but this is a case I've been following for a little while. Haven't really commented on it because there really hasn't been a whole lot of bombshells, but there's been a lot of stuff that has come out recently that I do want to go over and also compare it to a case that I've been following, even though there hasn't been any current updates, and that's the case of 𝗱𝗲𝘁'𝘀, the missing East Tennessee girl that has been missing now for almost a year, or over a year now. So what we're going to be talking about today is the missing boy in Georgia, 𝗱𝗲𝘁'𝘀 County, Georgia, Quinton Simon. He was last seen on October 5th, which means he has now been missing 7 days. If you're watching this on the day this was released, October 12th. He went missing from his home in 𝗱𝗲𝘁'𝘀 County, Georgia, which is the county in which Savannah resides. It is on the coast of Georgia, kind of in the mountain range, off the Appalachian Trail a little bit. So it's a very rural area. You know, just like with 𝗱𝗲𝘁'𝘀 being in a very rural area of Tennessee, that area is just ripe with these sort of cases. Child abuse, child trafficking, other things that could happen. But there's a lot of differences between Quinton's case and 𝗱𝗲𝘁'𝘀's case. In 𝗱𝗲𝘁'𝘀's case, we only know what the family has told us. Here we do have some other people that have spoken up, so we know a little bit more about it. So let's dive in. Quinton, who is 20 months old, resides with 2 other siblings in a house in 𝗱𝗲𝘁 County with his grandmother, Billie Jo Howe, his mother, and I've heard this name pronounced differently, but I'm going to call her 𝗱𝗲𝘁 Simon, and her boyfriend, Daniel Youngkin. According to most sources, Billie Jo Howe actually has custody of Quinton and his 2 siblings, who I will not be mentioning their names. They're out there if you want to know. They're also younger children. But she still allowed her daughter, 𝗱𝗲𝘁, and her boyfriend to reside in the same house. And according to her, they shared care of Quinton and his siblings. There was also another individual tied up in this, and that is a lady by the name of McCarta, who, or Deanna, I'll call her Diana McCarta, who functioned as a babysitter for both Quinton and his siblings, and she babysat them most days of the week, according to her, and she recently did a Facebook Live to clear up some things about her. You can find that just by Googling. It's about 27 minutes long, so I won't be playing it for you here. I will be playing some other things for you, but she actually clarified that she met Billie Jo through church, and Billie Jo had asked her to please, would she be interested in caring for her 3 grandchildren whom she had custody of, and she said that she would, and so they were brought to her house by 5:30 a.m. most mornings, and she cared for them while both Billie Jo and 𝗱𝗲𝘁 and Daniel worked. Now, she said that she only charged about $30 a day to care for all 3 children, so if you have somebody that kind, treat them well. And but there was a lot of issues there. She said that even when she was home from work, 𝗱𝗲𝘁, who was the mom, the biological mom of the children, would still bring them over for her to babysit, and that she would, in some instances, not even tell Diana that she was not at work. She would kind of sneak around, like Diana said, that both her and her children, she had grown children that lived in the same neighborhood, and then also a teenage child that lived with her, and her husband, said that they would see 𝗱𝗲𝘁 kind of skulking about the house, like she would go out to smoke, and then kind of try to hide from view. In other words, she didn't want anybody to know that she was home, and was basically doffing her children off on them. But Lonnie was a single mom, of course. Daniel is her current boyfriend, and all is not well at home. I suspect a whole lot of drug abuse. In fact, we're going to get into some things, but basically, um, this family is troubled. And the only reason I say that is I grew up in rural Alabama. My father was in a trailer park. So when I went to stay with him, I stayed in a trailer park. So I'm not saying that this area is a trailer park, but it sounds like a very rural area. And there's probably some trailers there. Not that there's anything wrong with living in a trailer. My sister had a double wide that was a mini mansion. So I have no reservations about people that live in manufactured homes. So please don't take it that way. I think it's a great affordable housing option. But but I know the type. I know the types of people that live in certain kinds of trailer parks, and they do a lot of drugs, and they have a lot of children, and they neglect their children. And so I know the type. So I can tell you that these are definitely the type. More interested in drugging and doing the things that druggies do than caring for their children. And they were very lucky that they had decent people living next door that would be, or near them, that would be willing to care for their children. But basically, according to Diana, many mornings she could never get in contact with 𝗯𝗯𝘂. She said occasionally she could get in contact with Daniel, but most of the time she would have to text Billy Joe, who worked out of town, and would tell her, all the things that she was seeing, and Billy Joe would say, yeah, I'm going to deal with it, but then it never got dealt with. So, and the family is also troubled. According to some reports, there is an uncle in this family that served some time for murder or manslaughter, so I've got to dive deeper into that. So, very troubled family. Let's just leave it at that. She said oftentimes they would bring the children over and there would be no diapers, no extra clothes, no milk for the baby, and she would either have to provide those herself or text somebody to bring it. And she said sometimes the boyfriend would bring that over. So, but all is not well. The first increment in this saga begins on September 7th when police were called to Billy Joe's house. And an argument to break up a domestic argument between Billy Joe and 𝗯𝗯𝘂, and basically it was a domestic argument over both the children and just the general way in which they were living. According to Billy Joe, she told police that she wanted them out of her house, that she had served eviction papers on them, that she had filed eviction proceedings, and that they were destroying her house, not helping with the bills, the whole melodrama, as you can imagine. If you are living with your parents for whatever reason, pay your fair share and don't destroy the house. I'm just going to say that as a moral lesson. But while there, 𝗯𝗯𝘂 confided in the cops that she was on probation and didn't want any trouble, though they have not released what she was on probation for. I assume it's something to do with drugs because her mother, when talking to the police, said that 𝗯𝗯𝘂 had a history of stealing things and selling them to buy drugs. So I'm assuming that it falls into that category.
Right, baby's just a baby. Quinton's grandparents say the boy's mother's story does not make sense.
She's lied to us so many times, and I don't know, it's just bad to say, but she just likes to lie.
Police have been to the family's house before. According to police reports, family members say Quinton's mom has a history of stealing and using the money to buy drugs.
September 8th, Billy Joe continued the eviction proceedings, now saying instead of just wanting 𝗯𝗯𝘂 and Daniel out, she also wanted the 3 kids to leave. So according to reports, she has custody of the children, but she is saying in her eviction order she wants all 5 of them to leave. So like I said, there's some trouble in this family. By September 16th, everybody knew about the eviction, but nothing happened. According up until October, which was almost a full month, October 5th, which is a full month since eviction proceedings were started, they're still living there. So again, I know the type. It goes back to melodrama. And I know a lot of you are saying that I had the opposite opinion when it comes to Summer Wells, that I said I didn't think her parents were necessarily shifty. I just thought that they were poor and country, trailer park country. Not so here. These are trashy people. I hope everybody has realized by now that I take it case by case. I don't try to deal in stereotypes unless there's a reason to deal in stereotypes, and this is a stereotype. So October 5th, this is the last day that Quinton was seen. According to the babysitter, she received a text between 5:25 and 5:30 in the morning, which she said was about 5 minutes before they would normally drop off the boy, saying that 𝗯𝗯𝘂 would be home and they would not need her to babysit that day. She just texted back okay and went about her day. According to her, she took her daughter to McDonald's to get some breakfast, and then at some point during the whole McDonald's trip, she received a text from Billy Joe, the grandmother, asking her had she seen Quinton. She said no, and she told her what had happened. She did not appear to know that they had not taken him to the babysitter that day. And then according to her, she dropped one of her daughters off at home, and her and another daughter went over to the residence, and there was police there. They were talking. She talked to Daniel. She talked to 𝗯𝗯𝘂 a little bit. She said 𝗯𝗯𝘂 was kind of aloof and kind of staying out on the porch and smoking, which seems to be her modus operandi. And Daniel, who said he left for work at 6 a.m., saw Quinton in his playpen in the living room, and that's the last time he saw him. So
babysitter told News Nation station 𝗱𝗲𝗲𝗽 she heard from Quinton's mom early Wednesday morning when she said she didn't have to watch Quinton that day.
I get a text at 9 o'clock saying, have I seen Quinton? I immediately go to their house. I try to help them look. They didn't want that. My heart is broken. I'm not his mother. I'm not his family, but I love him very much.
No one saw this child. No one saw this child exit, which is really strange because there have been reports from other people. There's several reports from this community that had reported these children to Department of Social Services, saying that they were oftentimes outside, not being alone, playing in the road, playing in ditches, and as I said, that's pretty normal. I grew up in a rural area, especially when I was at my dad's. We would play outside, and no one was really like out there with us. But at my dad or my stepmom or my aunt who lived next door, it was my stepmother's sister and her family lived next door. Somebody had a window open. Somebody had a door cracked. Somebody was aware of what we were doing. It wasn't like you just let them go off and play without any supervision. As you got older, maybe you could do that, but not children this young. And these are very young children. I don't understand how a 20-month-old and a 3-year-old are outside playing with no one around. I mean, if they were 10, 11, 12, okay, they might be up in the woods somewhere playing, but never out of earshot. So anyway, and according to police, 𝗯𝗯𝘂 told them that she suspected Quinton's natural father, who has not seen the child probably since he was born, is nowhere in the picture, probably doesn't pay support, again, stereotypes, had taken him. And the police did reach out to him, question him, check his alibis, found out that by 2:30 that afternoon, they had a pretty good picture that he was not involved, even though 𝗯𝗯𝘂 said that he took the child. By the next day, they were flying drones, they had dogs, they could find absolutely nothing. And according to a local sheriff, the FBI became very, very interested in this for some reason, again, because that whole corridor between Atlanta all the way up into Tennessee, that is a huge area for child trafficking. You can look at, I've read several FBI and TBI reports on the subject. We have a family friend that is a former TBI agent that has told me all about that. So it's a hotbed for that sort of thing, which is why I think that's what happened in the Summer Wells case. Whereas here, I suspect the family, 1, I know the type, 2, she's already lied about the child's natural father taking him. And then they're just being absolutely aloof. But anyway, federal agents have been out there turning every bush they possibly can to find this child. So this huge manhunt is going on, and finally on October 10th, investigators did drain the swimming pool in the back of the house. Which, why wouldn't that be one of the first things you did, is to drain the swimming pool?
When federal investigators, firefighters, and Chatham police drained Quinton's grandparents' backyard pool, grandmother Billie Jo Howell's Facebook had a post asking for help getting that pool fixed. It's been deleted.
I should not have been out of town. You did. You shouldn't have.
But the emotions in this neighborhood, they haven't gone anywhere.
But anyway, nothing was found. And according to the babysitter, she had spoken to Billie Jo, telling her that she wanted to do a prayer circle. They wanted to put out flyers to hopefully find Quinton, and then that all culminated in October 11th. And I have a video of an exchange that happened when Billie Jo went over to the babysitter's house and basically got in her face, started accusing her of trying to of stealing the baby, and just a lot of weird stuff. And I'll drop that clip right here.
The house is located on Burkhalter Road in West Chatham County.
Lead investigative reporter Brett Buffington has been breaking new details in the story since Quinton went missing. Brett is joining us live now tonight from Chatham County Police Headquarters with the entire video of the confrontation between Quinton's grandmother and a babysitter.
And Tina, we've learned tonight from that babysitter that Quinton Simon was part of a Department of Family and Children's Services case. That babysitter told me she talked to DCFS, and so did other people in that neighborhood.
This is my baby, not yours.
This video is absolutely jarring.
You hit me. Hey, you think I would do that?
It shows the desperation of the people who love Quinton Simon.
You're awful to say you're going to put a memorial. My baby's not dead.
Quinton's grandmother in Quinton's babysitter's house.
That's my baby. I texted you and I told you what was my baby.
The intense moments recorded by Dana McCarta's daughter. Dana says Quinton's grandmother barged through her back door, mad over the thought of a memorial for the missing toddler.
My baby's not dead.
I think that she's trying to take the heat off of them.
Diana talking with us today, telling me she's called Georgia's Department of Family and Children's Services about Quinton and his siblings before. DFACS told you there was a case.
Yes, absolutely.
Diana isn't the only neighbor here to tell us they were concerned about the children in this home.
I was afraid she was going to get hit.
We tried to get Billie Jo Howell's side of this story. She didn't answer her phone since yesterday.
Now, according to the babysitter, she said that she wanted to do a prayer circle, help find Quinton. According to Billie Jo, she was saying that she wanted to do a memorial as if she suspected the babysitter had something to do with it, because she said memorial, as you could hear, she said, my baby's not dead. So again, more weirdness. That's where we are right now. No other evidence. I definitely think the family has something to do with this. If the grandmother is not in on it, she is covering it up. And I definitely suspect the mom and the boyfriend. It could be, something got out of hand, they ended this child's life, or again, that hotbed of activity, maybe they sold this child. I don't know, but I'm just saying they got something to do with it. And yeah, I'll continue to watch this case closely, and I'll bring you any updates that come out. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I really, really hope and reach out to the universe that he shows up okay, and eventually we find out Summer Wells is okay, and we find her too, though I don't hold out much hope there. But with that being said, until next time, keto and crime.